Hello, everyone. Whenever a crime occurs anywhere in the world, we often hear the famous phrase, "We are waiting for the forensic results." The result of forensic science holds the final word in everything. It determines whether someone will be prosecuted or not, whether someone stole something or not, and other accusations where forensic science plays a crucial role. But what exactly does forensic science do to make its opinions so important, and how does it manage to uncover crimes? Welcome to the world of forensic science. In 1887, Scottish author and Dr. Arthur Doyle published a collection of stories revolving around a character named Sherlock Holmes, a detective whom the police turned to for solving complicated cases. Holmes was able to solve these mysteries through skills like logical thinking, the ability to link events, and discovering small clues that were difficult to notice, which helped him crack cases. What Holmes did in these stories is actually similar to what forensic science does, but with some limitations. At the time, this field of science was weak, and there were no sufficient resources to make it a reliable science for critical issues like criminal cases. In fact, it wasn't even trusted at all, and its opinions weren't used as conclusive evidence. The United States did not officially recognize forensic science until 1909, despite it being in existence for about a century prior to that. By the time the United States acknowledged forensic science, the field had developed to a point where the world could trust it. But the question here is, how did forensic science achieve that? What steps does it take to uncover mysteries and determine whether a crime has occurred? When forensic experts are notified of a murder, the first thing they focus on is determining the time of death. Knowing the time of the crime and tracking the body's movement helps resolve a large portion of the case. But how can we determine the time of the crime when we didn't witness it? Forensic experts examine three things in the body. The first is the examination of blood pooling. Forensic doctors know that blood stops circulating once the heart stops, which causes the blood to pool in the area where the body is lying. If the body is moved, the blood will shift to the new position. If this happens, it suggests that the person died less than 12 hours ago because after 12 hours, the blood clots and it becomes more difficult to move. The second step is a more precise examination, checking the muscle rigidity in the body. The body needs energy for the muscles to remain relaxed, but since the body has no energy after death, the muscles start to stiffen about 2 hours after death and remain stiff for up to 30 hours. If the muscles are still relaxed, it means the person died within the last 2 hours. The third step, which is the most precise, involves measuring the body's temperature. After death, the body's temperature decreases by 1.5 degrees Celsius every hour. Since the normal human body temperature is about 37 degrees Celsius, if the forensic doctor finds that the body temperature is, for example, 34 degrees Celsius, it means the person died around 2 hours ago. Additionally, the doctor considers the ambient temperature, as colder environments slow the loss of body heat. Sometimes, forensic experts also analyze bacteria or worms that may appear on the body to estimate the time of death. After conducting these examinations, forensic science can often conclude that the person died around a specific time. In the process of determining the time of death, experts also investigate whether the death was caused by a crime. If there is no crime, there's no need to identify the perpetrator. To determine this, forensic experts perform a detailed examination of the body to look for signs of resistance, scratches, bruises, strangulation, or other indicators of violence. They also check for the presence of drugs, alcohol, or toxins in the body. If none of these factors are found, they begin to search the location of the body for any potential weapon used in the crime. They may then examine it for fingerprints or DNA traces to help track the perpetrator. This is why the police often secure a crime scene with yellow tape or seal an apartment where a crime took place to ensure that nothing is altered or tampered with before forensic examination is completed. Once forensic experts finish their initial examination, they begin tracking the victim's movements by reviewing security camera footage from the surrounding area to see if anyone followed the victim, which could point to a suspect. In many cases, reports are made about disappearances, or someone suspects that a person has been murdered, or perhaps someone entered their apartment and hasn't been seen since. In cases like this, forensic science plays a crucial role in determining whether a crime occurred. For example, forensic experts will inspect the home of the person suspected to have been involved in a crime. Apart from reviewing camera footage and interviewing neighbors, which is the responsibility of the police, forensic experts focus on detecting traces of blood at the scene, even if the perpetrator has tried to clean it up. This is often considered an almost impossible task, but for forensic experts, it is still feasible. They use a chemical test with two compounds, phenolphthalein and hydrogen peroxide. If the phenolphthalein turns pink, it means blood was present in that location. This is because blood contains hemoglobin, which helps in this chemical reaction. Phenolphthalein is not the only method used to track blood traces. Other chemicals are also employed to help determine whether a crime, like a murder, took place. Through these tests, forensic experts can also identify potential murder weapons and discover whether bloodstains on objects like knives, keys, or pipes might match the perpetrator's fingerprints or DNA. Forensic science can even help determine the psychological profile of a criminal based on their actions during the crime. This can sometimes narrow down the search for the perpetrator. However, despite its various branches and reliance on many different fields of science, forensic science is not flawless and can make serious errors. Given that it often determines the fate of individuals and entire families, it's expected to be precise. In 2015, the FBI conducted a study examining 268 criminal cases where hair and DNA evidence was used to convict suspects. The surprising result was that 96% of the samples analyzed were done so incorrectly, which is a catastrophic finding. You may wonder how forensic science could make a mistake with something as delicate as DNA or fingerprint analysis. One example given by forensic experts was how a person's hair could end up at a crime scene even though they had never been there, such as when someone sits on a chair and leaves hair behind, which could later end up on a suspect at the crime scene. As for fingerprints, the final result often depends on the forensic examiner's interpretation, which can lead to mistakes if the fingerprint is not analyzed with the necessary precision. Dr. Ruth, a forensic expert, emphasized that forensic science needs more advanced tools and methods than what we currently have. Right now, we don't have enough data or equipment to determine exactly when and how a single hair found at a crime scene ended up there, let alone whose it is. That's all for now. If you have any questions that keep you awake at night, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we'll answer them. Most of the episodes we create are based on your comments. Take care, and goodbye.